Hey guys, we are day 31. Yeah, today's the last day. I'm actually recording this on the New Year's Eve and never done that. Always like a day ahead. But this is real time, so this video better be up. So I am excited to share with you my top 10 books of 2025. And I had a lot of books that I loved. And there's like a lot of books that stick with me over the year. Some I read earlier in the year. And what I will say for these books, I picked books that stick with me. I keep books that made me think after I finished reading it. Where a week, 2 weeks will go by, a month, 2 months, and something would happen, and that book would just pop in my head. I picked book that made me excited, that made me just love the story, love the history. There is a lot of historical fiction in this mix. There's some Caribbean. There's some Caribbean in this mix. And there's some books that was just not what I would typically read, but was impactful. So, going through these books, and I will share what I liked about it. This is not going to be a review because all these books were reviewed multiple times on this channel. This is just me giving you an overview of why I enjoyed this book and why it made my top 10. This is the first that 2 of the books I do not own. And I have to fix that at some point because this is not normal. I always own my top 10. So I've only got 8 of them. 2 of them will be bought and will be on the shelf. There's one particular one that will be the highlighted book for 2026. So I always have that one book that I put on the shelf that is going to face where people will see that as they look at it. That's just something I've been doing 10 years now, I think. Except for the last 5 years, they've all been Caribbean books. Maybe 6 years, they've all been Caribbean books. Prior to that, they were like historical fictions that I enjoy. So, the book that I will be highlighting, I will let you know when I get to that book. And it's one of the books I don't own. Go figure. Alright, so number 10 is Passiontide. Now, this was the, sorry, the Caribbean book, and we did a live discussion. We spoke about this book. It is a book that really encaptured the Caribbean. Tragedy in the midst of, you know, a foreigner who lost their life and what did it, and all these characters. There's so many characters in this, and this is why I was really into it so much, because I know some people don't like books with a lot of characters, but I enjoyed this for the fact that there was so many characters that you can follow, that it was so engrossing. You just would turn the page, you want to know what's really happening, where the scandal leading, why, and who did what, all that. I enjoyed this. This was a good discussion. We did a live show. Go ahead. I'll put that in the description. Check it out if you read it. And, you know, chime in. The next book was the book I read this month. And it is the... no, not the only action. Yeah, pretty much. S.A. Cosby. King of Ash. I mean, how do you constantly pour out books that is just different but interesting? And this is a story that I felt like I just love how the brothers' relationship in this. This is a story about a man who had to come home to basically save his family from something that his younger brother did. And there is that family scar and secrets and things that happen that is what you see how it can crumble a family and how it can make one character become ruthless in the quest of saving himself and the family. And I was like, yeah, rooting for someone who is just literally slowly becoming the man. So I was like, yeah, I read this this month, and immediately I was like, yeah, this is yeah. Never gonna forget this. I still feel sad for the brother, the younger one. The next book is a book that I had to get a copy. I read it from the library. This book is like living rent-free in my head. It's one of those books that, again, you're going to either like it or you're going to hate it. Just there's no in-between for this book. And for me, it is a book that when it speaks about a woman's struggle in, you know, grief and loss and identity and the level of mess that she would get herself in the midst of all of that, is something that I was just not prepared for at first when I read this. I was just like, oh, this woman is doing all the things you can think of for shock value. I felt this book was full of shock value in the beginning. But when I got to that moment in this, when I realized, oh, there's people like this. There's a lot of people who are like this. And it's sad. It is very sad. But it is a lot of people, the reality of how they handle grief. And it's not for us to always look down on. It's more for us to understand and perhaps hope and pray to get a breakthrough. She got a breakthrough. That ending was just, yeah. The next book, I don't own. And it's a book that as soon as the hurricane hit my island, I thought about this book even more, and that is A House for Miss Parley. And it really is a book that is still a factor, and it's still something that when we think of property, when we think of land, and we think of, you know, the term squatters, right? Or we think of the term of captured, like my mother said, capture land. And the ties that people will have to that land. And there's so many symbolic things with the stone and how the houses look in imagination. This is a woman that's approaching 100 years old, and is telling her life story, is telling how the relationship to children, how she got the land, and how it went from so many generations. And at some point somebody feels like this is no longer yours. I need to own that book, and that is the book that will be my display book for 2026. It is a book that I think is deeper than I think it was portrayed at first, like how and I think a lot of people may not get it per se. But if you are an island person, especially from the country area, you will understand this book a bit more than you want to. And that's how I felt about this book. I need to own it. I don't have it, but it will be on my next haul that I do. The next book is a book let me give you a lead up to this. The man is dead. Your family is grieving. And here comes this white woman that is going to show up. No one knows who the hell she is. And then when they ask her, my family used to own you. I was like, what the hell am I reading? I literally screamed at that part because I was just like, hell no. To the no, no, no. I was just like, what are we doing? And let me just give you the build up to this. Your daddy, you know, businessman, about to lose it all because slavery coming to an end. And he decided to do sacrifice something. Like, I can give you more than that. And leave this little boy with a secret to hold. A secret that can literally kill his entire family. Because this is now, you know, things are happening. Y'all know the sheets. All that. And then it's a piece of land that they got. And these people don't want them to have this land. And they fighting. and they're trying to survive, and it's action packed. It's like survival. And then you learn that the author took history from his own family to inspire this story. Y'all didn't read this yet? Get to it. Next book I don't own, but I read it in December, and y'all saw my reaction. I was just like, what? Yeah, library book that I don't own yet is going to be bought, and that is Hang the Moon. Historical fiction. Homegirl. The homegirl in this was just like, what? It is really good. I was just absolutely excited the entire time. I was just like, what? Page turn. I want to read it again. I want to read it again. It's like, it's giving me Prohibition era of people swindling and doing things. It's giving me, you know, people trying to like use their power in the town over people. And there's like this one particular guy that is a black man up here. And there's that moment when the reality hit who he came to. I was like, oh, yeah, that was common. And what they did to him, yeah. And then how she's just like Wild Wild West with her gun. Wild Wild West out here with her gun. She was gonna do what she gotta do. And the men trash in this, because it was just like there was a particular court scene and the man get away with unaliving his wife. And then it's that moment too where you think like they were cheering that he got. And what makes the book even sweeter is to know. She took a lot of real life things that happened back then in the 1920s. And the early 1900s, 1920s, about 1930s. And real newspaper articles of things that happened, and use it to inspire the story. So when you're like, oh, that was outrageous, and you're like, oh no, there's a real character. It did happen in real life. I love this book. And I'm so it's weird that I've never heard of it, and it was very popular back in like 2022 or 2023. What of them years? And I'm just realizing the book is out. Like, that book just made me scream, and I was loving it. The next book is a big beast. I started the year off with this bitch. The Covenant of Water. Y'all see the thing? And this is another sweet. When you read a big book that you actually enjoy, and you finish it, and you're like, I read a big book. Yeah, that's how I feel about this. Look at me with the 2020. I don't even know where this came from. Oh yeah, I saved it on a certain spot. Felipe. I still feel so like, now everybody talk about big Amamachi, and you know, and the sadness for her in this. This is an epic family saga. It follows multiple generations and a lot of hardship and a lot of things that is, you know, could kind of sort of like a family curse. But each generation is going through it, and you are experiencing things with them that is sad, and it's just like heartbreaking. And for me, it was Felipe. I just think that he went through it, and I really felt for him. There's some tragic moment in this that will make you scream, that will make you like, you know, like clutching invisible pearl, like, whoa, you know, that's just how heavy this book is. But it was such a good read. I think this is one of those books like this. I think this was Oprah's summer book club pick that she did in 2023. I definitely think it's one of those books that you just focus on mainly if you're gonna read it. It'll be like that 1 month you just like read it, and maybe read 2 other books that's short, that's a different genre with this. But this was such a good story, and it's still, I remember this vividly, and I read this in January. I think it was in January. Love, love, love. The next book also is an international pull. This is a Jamaican book. This is Jamaican Road. When I think of parents and I think of how much you can damage your children and not realize that you are damaging your children, even with your situation. And this is how I look at this story. I look at two young characters. You have one who was both of Caribbean heritage, Jamaican heritage. One grew up in England. The other one is immigrated. And the bond that they have, and the treatments. And at the time, this was in England, where Caribbean people were not treated well. There was a lot of incident that happened. There's a big tragedy that happened in this that is real life. Of course, the author, because again it is giving you historical fiction in terms of the time per se, but it talks about this thing that were happening then, and then you are also dealing with your own family trauma, your own family drama, your whole family things that happen, especially for the male character in this and his mother. And the ending was such a it was a sad ending, but it was such an ending that I felt was powerful as a mother, and that needed to be done. But it's one of those stories that the tragedy could have been prevented. And you think of how many young people who were exposed to this level of violence, and what it leads to in this. And I think this is one of those stories that it's a difficult read. It's a sad take, but unfortunately it's not uncommon that this happened in family. Yeah, I enjoyed this. This was like a really good read. I read this in the summer. Highly recommend it. So we got 2 more to go. The next book, Flesh. You guys know how I felt about this book. This was my favorite book of the Booker. It made me very sad when I read it at first. And then there was like, things started happening in my life. And I remember thinking about this book like more. And there's some books that you read and you grasp the concept of the book. But then when you life happens, and that book becomes even more like clear to you of the storyline and of the message in the story. And in this, you have this young man who has dealt with a lot since he was a kid. He has some dramatic things happen to him, and then it's like he doesn't have a voice, and he doesn't know how to defend himself in a lot of ways, and how to be. It's like life is just happening to him, and he's there, but he's not there in a lot of mental ways. There's a disconnect that he has to reality in a lot of things that's happening to him. And even at the end, I remember just thinking, no, I wanted more. I wanted more. Initially, when I reviewed this book, I said I wanted more. And then when things started happening that were sad in my life, I got it. It was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, oh, this book, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, and it's not going to have the same impact for everybody. But for me, every year there's always that book that I feel like it's that personal read, and you think of it in a different way, and it sticks with you. And this is one of those books. And my favorite book, it's full of drama too, and trauma, but you got a fighting sister that's gonna get her little 12-year brother together and bust him out. There is magical realism, there is ghosts, there is racism up the wazoo. There is so much going on in this book, but this book gave me life. and I will never not use the library again for what? Library for the win. I don't know. I'm a library girl. The days of me not using the library is over. Okay? I'm always gonna go to the library and walk around and explore, because that's how I even got Hanged. I would have never think of picking up that book just like that in a bookstore. But I went to the library, and yeah. Reformatory. There's that book that just, you know, that is so good, but it's not the typical book you would read, except for the historical fiction part. I'm a historical fiction junkie, but when you start having ghosts and seeing things and knowing how these people became ghosts, in terms of a reformatory is basically a prison for kids. And they were just, the incident happened where people died. Quite a few young people. And their spirit is still there. So here comes this 12-year-old who can see them. And here comes this other man who knows he can see them and want to capture these souls. Because, they haunting the place. However, behind all of that is a sister, Gloria, who is feeling some kind of way because her poor little brother ended up in this facility because he was trying to protect her from the man who runs the town's son. And that's how he ended up there. And she's not having it. She's using everything she could possibly. She's getting help. There's one particular old woman that is like about that life. That's helping her, bust him out. And how is he gonna get out with all these things? I was just like, this was action packed, but it was also very gripping, also very traumatic. Yeah, evil is evil, but this was not the kind of book I read. But I love every bit of it. Read it from the library and went and bought my own copy. I did. It was like my last bookstore run for this month, and I had to own it. Why would I not own my favorite book I read this year? Why wouldn't I? Yeah. So this is it. Highly recommend. Now, don't get too caught up with the ghost thing, because it's significant, but it's done in a way that is not giving you Halloween. This ain't Halloween. Don't look at it that way. But it's very dramatic, and it's very much a good read. Oh, this book was so good. 5 star. 5 star. No ifs, ands about it. This was a 5-star read for me. Love it, love it, love it. And I don't have that many 5-star this year. Now, the 10 of them, there's 2 5-star, a lot of 4.5 in this. But let's just give you the heads up of how I feel about these books. So, yeah. It was a good year. It was a good year. So, the 100 books, and these are the ones that I just like, my top 10. There's other ones that came real close that I wanted to switch a few out with, but I was just like, no, these are the ones that I really want to focus on. So I am, it's my last vlog of the year. I also won't have any vlog until the following week, I believe, whatever that Saturday is, the 9th. I will have a lot of shorts. There will be a lot of shorts this week. Probably a shorts every day or every other day. There's a lot of things I didn't get to highlight that I wanted to showcase for the year. So I will do a lot of shorts, so look out for that. My blog is turning 10 years old. Tomorrow, which is January 1st, is when I went live on my blog. And still not done with the post. The post will be up though. It definitely will be up tomorrow. I really was doing a write-up last night. I love what I'm writing, but it's going to be a long vlog. that post will be long because it's 10 years of highlighting the good, the bad, everything, the fun, the experience. And then I also will be doing more blogs for that week because I just want to highlight different things that I won't put into that anniversary blog. So it's probably going to be 3 blog posts, one tomorrow, and then there will be one on Sunday, and then one on Wednesday. So follow me on the blog. I need to start doing my newsletter again. I had started and I kind of fell off, mainly because now you need a PO box, which sucks because it was fun when you didn't have to, but now you need a PO box because I can't use this address. So I will get that going. So I know some people at subscribing was like, where's the newsletter? Yeah, working on it. I used to love do it, so I will get back to newsletter. And then that's it. And that first video will be my annual takedown of the bookshelf. So where I take everything off and dust, clean, rearrange, and then decide on books that I no longer want to keep. And my TBR list, go fix those. And yeah, so that's coming in the next one. But I want to thank everybody who watched my 31 videos this year. This was a funny time because there was nothing crazy happening in the midst of this month so much. There was a tragedy, but I think I'm numb now. But for the most part, this was fun and smooth, and I love doing all the craft, and everybody enjoyed their gift. So far, there's still like 6 people that did not get their gift yet. It's in the living room. But for the most part, I would say I enjoyed this experience. I will continue doing this every December. And I want to thank you all for supporting me in 2025, for watching my video, for liking, for sharing, especially those who comment all the time. Thank you. I appreciate it. And for the newbies, welcome, welcome. And I will see you in 2026. All right, guys. Bye.